Hi, I'm Nick Powell, City Hall Bureau Chief with City and State. Joining me on today's City and State TV is Mike Klein, the Managing Director of the New York branch of McKenna, Long, and Aldridge. Thank you for joining us today, Mike.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
So, Mike, I know you have a strong background in parks in particular, and one of the kind of the buzzwords around parks in New York City right now is equity. So I'm curious, and for our readers or viewers who might not know, when we talk about equity in parks, what do we mean? And can you kind of give us an overview of that issue?
Sure. Well, look, I think the call for equity or the issue of equity in parks is a function of the fact that parks are so important in people's lives, and some of our parks are so incredible at this point in time, whether it's your flagship parks of a Prospect Park or a Central Park, that we want that to be the case in every single neighborhood. So part of the call for equity is to, yes, fix some things that may have happened over the decades, or certainly the last 30, 40, 50, maybe 80 years. And then part of the call for equity is so that the standard that we've kind of grown to expect is possible is indeed rolled out for every community in New York City. So equity is now a call for high quality parks as much as it is to kind of fix things that may have gone wrong in the past.
So where does the city then step in and say? I mean, is it a question of funding? Is the Parks Department an agency that is limited in what it can do on its own? I mean, where do the improvements come in to kind of addressing that equity issue?
Well, look, there's always money that's needed. There's no doubt about it. Making parks spectacular or grass really green. You know, grass being really green is a function of a whole lot of people focused on that field, right? So yes, that's a financial issue. But New York City is a place that has a lot of money, quite frankly. Not just the government, but meaning that you can find resources within government, but the private sector has always been very, very generous to philanthropic causes, and parks happen to be one that people like to invest in. So I don't doubt at all that with this mayor's call for kind of an equity kind of theme throughout the administration, but quite frankly in parks in particular, that more philanthropists will step forward and invest in parks, that more city elected officials will invest in parks. You know, I was told in passing the other day that the Queensborough president dedicated an unprecedented amount of the money that she has allocated as a borough president into parks. That's very much kind of what's happening out there, that everybody wants parks to be spectacular, and the fact is the team is getting bigger. I think the Conservancies over the last 30, 40 years have done incredible things to show us that a public park that's used by literally anybody who walks in there can be clean, can be safe, can be green, and fun, because you know that's the other side of parks, right? What you do in there should be ball fields for people to play, and there are bathrooms for you to use. I mean, and we've proven that we can do that. So I think for the city, absolutely, it's going to be hard for the city budget itself to invest everything that the wish list would demand, but what they can do is have the standards. What the mayor can do is set the standard for what parks should be citywide, and then all the different financial resources can kind of go towards that goal.
Now, I wanted to touch on the Conservancy issue, which you brought up just then. So, as I understand it, not every park in New York City has a Conservancy, right? It's only like mainly the larger scale parks. Now, why it seems to be the fact that not every park has a Conservancy seems to be kind of an issue in New York City right now. What's the, I guess, can you kind of give us a sense of why that's become such a hot button?
I think it truly comes down to our expectations. The Conservancies have done an amazing job at rallying private resources to complement public resources and build places and maintain places at a standard that we haven't really ever seen, and quite frankly, not just in New York City, but anywhere in the country. So now the expectations are raised, and so the Conservancies need to keep doing what they're doing because they do amazing work, and the city as a whole needs to figure out what they do well, leave behind what the city doesn't like about them per se, or what the city may not want to replicate, but in fact replicate the great and take it throughout the entire system. So there are best practices to be had in some of the major flagship parks, which is also a non-financial issue sometimes. Their activism of volunteers, their capacity to do events and galvanize constituencies so that everybody cares about that park. Those are big deals to the way that a park is and gets taken care of by the user and the maintenance worker simultaneously. So the fact that the Conservancies kind of, are attached to parks that now look spectacular is fine, because in reality, it showed us what we all want. It's like the new car. We like that new car. It does drive nicer than, our 15-year-old car that, makes a lot of noise when it hits bumps. That's fine. But you like the new car, so now aim for the new car, and every park can be that great. There's no doubt about it.
Now, Mayor de Blasio has appointed recently a new Parks Commissioner, Mitchell Silver, who I believe comes to the city from Raleigh, North Carolina. Now, as a veteran of the Parks Department, is it important to have somebody in the running the agency who has that kind of institutional knowledge, the familiarity, or obviously Mitchell Silver is a New York native, so it's not like he's a complete outsider. But where does that kind of experience come into play with that job?
Honestly, I think he's going to be a great Parks Commissioner for multiple reasons. One, yes, he knows New York City. Two, he is and kind of lives by the equity call that the mayor has outlined for the city administration. And three, quite frankly, as a planner, he is methodical in his nature, right? And that's a pretty important thing to build on the successes of the last few decades, which there have been many, and the Conservancy parks have shown you, but quite frankly, lots of other parks. The commissioner under Mayor Bloomberg, Adrian Benepe, an extraordinarily capable commissioner who built out athletic and recreational facilities at a fantastic rate. And the commissioner before him, a guy named Henry Stern, built and acquired land, if you will, meaning acquired more parkland and protected through rules and regulations, the natural environment. So each administration really takes on causes, if you will. And Mitchell Silver is walking into one of equity, and that's fine. The mayor gets to set that tone. But now he's got the tools of lots of different funding apparatus. He's got communities asking him to come in and work with them to do more. I think he's going to be a phenomenal Parks Commissioner.
Mike Klein, the Managing Director of the New York branch of McKenna, Long, and Aldridge, thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure.